So I'm a little late to this, but the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct that took place on April 2nd, 2025 happened, and I was going to make some notes about everything on the Nintendo Direct from the games to third party games, third and first party, and also all the features and stuff like that. But I think I'll actually just simplify this a little bit. So I'm actually just going to go over the first party games of the Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Direct, as I felt like that kind of seemed like a little bit more manageable video to make, because I felt like where I was aiming at with my notes, it was going to be a long video, and especially with how late this video was probably coming out on the eve or maybe even after the Mario Kart World Direct, I thought I'd go ahead and just give some thoughts on the first party game. So speaking of Mario Kart World, it is not Mario Kart 9, it is not Mario Kart 10 if you count Mario Kart Tour. It is a brand new game, as we all know, coming the launch day of the Nintendo Switch 2, and just watching this trailer was honestly a joy. There is a lot of new ideas in this trailer. There's wall jumping, rail grinding, you eat like a burger or something, and you get a new costume. So there's also three main modes that were shown off in this trailer. So Grand Prix, Knockout Challenge, and Free Roam. Knockout Challenge is going from one race to another, kind of like F-Zero 99, where players are eliminated after each, I don't know if it was after each lap or after each race. So that would be a fun little challenge to get to. Hopefully maybe there can be some incentives to get there, to get to the final race, and not just, hey, guess what, you did it. Maybe there's cool unlockables you can get, maybe even F-Zero 99, where you can get different badges and different car customization, stuff like that. There's also a free roam. It allows you to go absolutely anywhere. I think that's awesome, personally. There wasn't much else shown in the trailer regarding the free roam mode, and this is where I think the Mario Kart World Direct on April 17th is going to showcase a lot more about this free roam mode. Is there a story mode? Are there side objectives in the open world? I'm not really sure, but I am very excited to see what happens in this Mario Kart World Direct. I'm not going to touch too much on the price. Of course, $80 is high, but yeah, that's a whole discussion for another time for this game. And I think definitely the Mario Kart World Direct's going to have to showcase a little bit more to maybe justify that $80 price tag, but we will see. But other than that, the Mario Kart World trailer was just a joy to watch. The music, just constant shot after shot after shot of just something new. There's the cow from Moo Moo Meadows in it, which is wild. They're really digging into the Nintendo backlog of characters if they want to put the cow from Moo Moo Meadows in there. I think that was awesome. Moving on, we'll talk about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. So we see the performance enhancements. I watched a little bit of the Treehouse Live on this, and honestly, I didn't quite see the big graphical leap that they were talking about in there. I know you can see it a little bit, but nothing I felt was super substantial. I'm sure the performance modes will absolutely help both games, and especially probably Tears of the Kingdom, which I think ran a little bit worse than Breath of the Wild with a lot more going on. They also showcased a Zelda Notes app, which is using the Nintendo Switch app on your phone. So again, we're still using smart devices to go through Nintendo certain things. But you can share your creations, and the Zelda Notes gives you some navigation as well. So let's say you need to go to, I don't know, Lon Lon Ranch. I don't even know if that's in Breath of the Wild. I haven't played Breath of the Wild. I still have it, but I haven't played it yet. Let's say you need to go to Lon Lon Ranch, and you look up. It gives you directions go north or go east or something like that. So I think that's pretty cool. I think they mentioned HDR and 4K on both versions, so that is also neat to see. The next game up was one I'm not really that crazy about. It's just Drag and Drive, and it's promoted as Drag X Drive, but they said in the Nintendo Treehouse Drag and Drive. And I think this looks like something out of Nintendo Switch Sports. So you're using mouse controls. You've got that kind of Rocket League, Metroid Prime Blast Ball look for it. I can see this game being a frustrating mess to play. That's the thing I have with this game. It felt like during the Nintendo Treehouse Live when I was watching, it felt like they wanted to do certain things on the controller, like with the mouse controls, but they just weren't able to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get the basketball and I'm going to drive and I'm going to drag and drive, I guess. But it felt like when they wanted to move and shoot at the same time, it felt like the controls were hindering them from doing what they really wanted to do. And I felt like a lot of like weirdly missed shots and overrunning the ball. And maybe this will just take time as the game goes, but I didn't really see the appeal of this, I suppose. It just seems really clumsy. And yeah, I kind of mentioned that like the hosts weren't really able to do what they wanted, it seemed like. I saw some people trying to compare this to ARMS, being the like, oh, this is the new Nintendo Switch showpiece for this. But I honestly think ARMS looked way more interesting than Drag and Drive. I felt like the art style was bland, just way too much black in the like the graphics. It looked more like a proof of concept to me rather than a game like with a full release. And maybe it's great. I don't know. We'll see. It's coming out summer 2025. Next up was a game that was hotly contested and still is on the internet, which is Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. It is a paid version, but it's kind of a showcase of what the hardware is. It's coming out same day as Switch 2. Now, I will say at front, we did end up learning that it's only a $10 game, which is nice because I thought this was going to be like a $30, $40 game. But it's nice to see that it's only $10, but really this feels like a game that should be free, that should be included with the hardware, especially with the price that's announced with the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware at $450. So again, this is kind of something people have been comparing to Astro's Playroom, which was the free pack-in game on PlayStation 5. But then also you had like the Playroom, which was a free pack-in on the original PlayStation 4. So it's just kind of weird to see. And then you had like Wii Sports, same company with Nintendo. You had Wii Sports, and that was a pack-in title. But now we're kind of taking some of the pack-in titles and we're making them paid versions. So I did watch the Treehouse Live on it. It didn't seem like there was all that much to it. It had some quizzes, some tech demos, and mini games. You complete mini games, get medals, unlock new areas of the map, which means like different areas of the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, so you can walk around and see all the little intricacies from the HD rumble to the gyroscope to the microphone port to the C button. All that stuff is in there, which is pretty neat. It's kind of a nice detail. Kind of reminds me of like, what's that Mario Kart track where you're like, I think there was one on DS, maybe even one on GameCube with the battle mode where you're just like driving on top of the hardware, like on a Nintendo DS, like doing battle mode. That's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit. There was also a demo of Super Mario Bros. 1 showing the amount of pixels in 4K. That was kind of neat, I suppose. There was another demo on the Treehouse Live that showcased the HD Rumble 2. You have maracas and using the mouse functionality. But again, it does really feel like this should be something packed in with the system. But again, only for $10. That's not too bad of a price, I suppose, if it had to be a paid title. Moving on, my game that I was really excited for, that I thought we were going to get a release date for, we still did not, is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. So this is one of those games getting a Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. It has mouse controls, it's 4K 60 FPS or HD 120 FPS. And give me that 120 FPS all day. Not crazy about like the HD to 4K. I mean, obviously I can see the difference a little bit, but I will absolutely take the frames per second over the 4K any day of the week. But other than the just showcasing what's new in the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. There wasn't too much news shown off. There was a Treehouse Live showcase that showed a little bit more gameplay, which is like from the very beginning of the game. Also showcased a boss that I'm forgetting the name of, but it had like different eyes or like different Metroid weak points or something like that. And you had to like use the mouse controls. They were using mouse controls to try and hit those points, and then like, you know, the big center would open and you can hit him even more for massive damage or whatever. But yeah, not too much else shown from Metroid Prime 4 Beyond other than the 4K 60 FPS or HD 120 FPS mode. But this is one I am very excited for. And again, a lot of people thought this would be maybe a launch title, but it seems like this game might be coming later in the year, as we still do not have a date. Maybe in a couple more months we'll get a new showcase or a new Nintendo Direct, and we'll officially get the release date for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Next up are a few more Nintendo Switch 2 special editions, I suppose, or upgrades. We have Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV coming out July 24th, and this also showed off more of the mouse controls, some audio recognition, and some new features showcasing the Nintendo Switch 2 camera. So they also showed with these new features, there's new mini games that showcases all these new features with the mouse controls, audio recognition, Nintendo Switch 2 camera. Like one of the ones they showed in the trailer was you can like hit the dice block and your face will be on the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, and it'll show up on other people's screens, and you can all laugh and yell obscenities to each other once someone screws the other person over in a game of Mario Party, like that usually happens. There is an upgrade pack for this. I think those might be $10. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. There's a lot of information and misinformation going on about pricing and other things for upgrades, and what's on a cart and what's on a download code, what's on a key card, and all this other stuff. There's a lot of information out there regarding that for Nintendo Switch stuff. So I think Super Mario Party Jamboree looked cool. I think it looked a lot better than Super Mario Party, the first one. I'm a big fan of Mario Party Superstars that was on Nintendo Switch, but I have not played Super Mario Party or Super Mario Party Jamboree, so we will see more about that probably maybe soon. Again, July 24th is when that upgrade pack comes out. Next up, a game I really enjoyed, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, getting a new mode, or a new, I guess, story DLC kind of thing called the Star-Crossed World. And there's a graphics and frame rate upgrade. It looks like a lot of the same levels on this Star-Crossed World. So the one they showed was like the very beginning of the game, and it just seemed like there's just a little bit extra new. There's like new stars that have come crashing down into the levels, and I don't really know what all else changes there are, and maybe some more information has come out. I didn't watch the Treehouse Live on this one. There was just a lot of Treehouse stuff to get through, and I had to make a concession at some point. I was like, okay, I really want to watch all these Treehouse Live segments, but at the same time, I kind of want to get this video out on a timely manner. So yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed World. I think that also has an upgrade pack. I don't know if this is one when I get a Nintendo Switch 2, if I will go after. I really did like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, though, but I feel like this one might get missed with the amount of all the other games coming out for the system. Pokemon Legends ZA. Enhanced resolution and frame rates. Hopefully it runs good. No notes. That is all the notes I had. I don't think there's really anything new to Pokemon Legends ZA that was shown off in this trailer. Of course, we did get more on that Nintendo Direct, which you can listen to my thoughts on, also on this YouTube channel. But yeah, hopefully it runs good. Arceus, and then of course the mainline Pokemon games, it seemed like maybe struggled a little bit in the performance aspect, but it doesn't seem like there is a specific new mode or anything exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 version for this. Next up, Koei Tecmo showed off a new Hyrule Warriors game, and this is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. It's a prequel to Tears of the Kingdom, and it's another Koei Tecmo Musou game. So this is going to be our third Hyrule Warriors game. We had originally Hyrule Warriors that was on Wii U, and then there was a 3DS version with Linkle, and then there was the Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition on Switch. Then we also got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, that was a prequel to Breath of the Wild. Now we are getting Age of Imprisonment, which is a prequel to Tears of the Kingdom. So it's coming this winter. I don't really care for a lot of the new Hyrule Warriors, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom kind of art style. I don't know if it's the art style or what. It's not traditional Zelda to me, so that's where I kind of get hung up on, and maybe I just do really need to try it. But I do want to play the first Hyrule Warriors game, at least Definitive Edition. I think the physical copy of that is hard to find, so you probably have to buy it digitally. But that is one I do want to play at some point. Kind of getting towards the end here of the list, we've got Nintendo GameCube NSO. So Nintendo Switch Online. So Nintendo Switch Online, I believe, is getting renamed to Nintendo Classics, which I think is kind of cool. There is Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2 are the first 3 games coming to Nintendo Classics on Nintendo Switch 2. So Nintendo GameCube will be exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2. So if you're expecting to get GameCube games on Switch, it doesn't seem like that is going to happen. So F-Zero GX is awesome to see. I think that means every single F-Zero game is now on Nintendo Switch. Of course, it being, I guess, Nintendo Switch 2. So I think F-Zero GX was the only one left. And I think that was a big get. I think that surprised a lot of people. Maybe not, with kind of how F-Zero's having a little bit of a renaissance lately. But I think that was really awesome to see that GX is one of the first 3 games to come. We got Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, as I mentioned. I think that means probably no Wind Waker HD on Switch 2, so it might be stuck on Wii U. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that, because I think the Wii U edition of Wind Waker HD streamlined a lot of things, because I can tell you right now, I have played through Wind Waker. I've played through it to completion, but whenever I go back and do a replay of that, which is my favorite Zelda game, whenever I go back and do another playthrough of Wind Waker, when you get to those Triforce shards or whatever it was, and the treasure maps and all this other stuff, I honestly just all right, I'm done. I played through enough of this. I know what happens in the end. I just kind of quit after that. So I was kind of hoping the Wii U version of Wind Waker HD would come back so that it streamlined a lot of that process, but that is not the case. Soul Calibur 2 is back. It has Link, of course, like the original release did. This is another, I believe this is Bandai Namco with Soul Calibur, so they're still showing up a lot on Switch. And of course, we have many other games from Bandai Namco that were shown off in the last Nintendo Direct. There was a lot of Bandai Namco third-party stuff in this Nintendo Direct, especially when you think about the Dusk Bloods, which is a third-party exclusive Nintendo Switch game, which from Software. That is also a Bandai Namco game. But yeah, Soul Calibur is back in Soul Calibur 2. I played a lot of this back in the day. The one thing I remember the most about Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube, with Link especially, is when fighting through some of the hardest battles, there was a story campaign kind of mode in that game. All you needed to do was just back up to the edge of the cliff, the edge of the stage, and use Link's grab, because he would literally turn the character around and kick him right off the end of the cliff, the end of the stage, and you'd win immediately. And I absolutely love that. That's how I got through that entire story mode, was I just spammed that move with Link and beat it. So that's one of my fondest memories of Soul Calibur 2. But it's nice to see this game coming back, and one of the third-party games coming back on Nintendo Switch 2 Classics Nintendo GameCube. There are more titles: Mario Strikers, some of the Pokemon games, Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine, more titles coming in the future. I'm glad they showed off a little bit more here. And some of those Pokemon games, especially when you talk about GameCube prices, they are pretty expensive. So it's really nice to see some of those Pokemon games coming back and getting a little bit more of a lease on life, so you don't have to go fork out a bunch of money to go play it on original hardware. Again, available same day as Switch 2. There's also a not limited, I guess I should say. There's also a controller getting released with the C button for the Nintendo GameCube. It looked kind of, like you would assume like a Wavebird without the little notch kind of at the bottom of the controller. But really nice to see that they're doing a controller as well for Nintendo Switch GameCube or Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube Online. A lot of words there. You know what I'm trying to say. Last two games of the Nintendo Direct, we've got Kirby Air Riders. So first we see Kirby. I thought it might have been Smash because my mind immediately went to Masahiro Sakurai. But no, it is Kirby Air Riders, and they tried to do like Air Ride. So this is coming in 2025, so hopefully maybe towards the end of the year. I never did play the first on GameCube, but I'm interested to see the graphical and technological leap from GameCube to Switch 2. Really not much else was shown. It's just kind of a concept. Hey, we're making a Kirby Air Riders. Probably going to see more in the coming months. And directed by Masahiro Sakurai of Super Smash Bros. Fame. The last trailer and last game from first party of the Nintendo Direct was Donkey Kong Bonanza. So we got the redesigned Donkey Kong like we had in Mario Kart World, which we kind of assumed was coming. And other than maybe Metroid Prime 2 Beyond, this was my favorite game of the showcase. You can literally destroy everything in this game, it seems like. You can burrow into walls and down below. And it has a lot of moves that you'd expect in some Donkey Kong Country games. Like you've got the roll. I feel like you've got some other kind of like jumping and traversal mechanics that you usually would see in a Donkey Kong Country game, but now it's here in 3D. You did see a little bit, it got leaked. I don't know if it got leaked or whatever it was, but there was some key art that was shown off, and you could clearly see Pauline is in that key art. So I feel like that was a nice thing to see. I'm sure Pauline will show back up at some point in this game. Maybe she's like the gal to rescue or something like that. I don't really know. But seeing some of this game on the trailer and then also some Nintendo Treehouse Live, this seems like a Mario Odyssey but with Donkey Kong. And it seems like Yoshiaki Koizumi is the director of this game, which he also directed Super Mario Odyssey. There's just different giant bananas, like banana crystals or whatever they look like, around, and you collect them. Once you collect them, it kind of like gives like you would like a power moon in Mario Odyssey. Like gives you like, okay, what specific moon was this, or like where it was. So I think that is very much a Mario Odyssey kind of staple. So you can kind of tell that that's like by the same team. There just looks like a ton to collect in this game, which I absolutely love. I love collecting things like Banjo-Kazooie and the ukuleles and stuff like that. Even though I have not played Donkey Kong 64. I was hoping that would come to Switch in 64 at some point, but it still never has come. So this seems like my kind of game. It is coming July 17th. It is coming just shortly after launch, which is kind of like what they did with the original Switch when what was it? Switch came out in March of 2017, but then it ended up being a month later. ARMS was out, and then a month later, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was out. So, and it was something like that where they had a little bit of a staggered launch lineup, which I think is really cool. So, but yeah, that is it for the first party games that was in the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. I, again, think Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World were the two things that really stole the show in this Nintendo Direct. And I feel like there was a lot of nice surprises. I think Kirby and the Forgotten Land getting a little bit extra DLC is nice. I think Kirby Air Riders was a nice surprise. I think people kind of assumed GameCube might be coming at some point. But then there were also some not so great moments. Like there was the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour being a paid version. They didn't say in the Nintendo Direct with that game what the price was going to be. So everybody just was like, it's going to be $60, $70, right? But Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is kind of eh. And then I felt like Drag and Drive might have been the worst thing shown in this Direct, at least from a first party standpoint. I just didn't really see much out of Drag and Drive that seemed appealing in the control aspect of things. That's basically where my biggest hiccup with that game is. But also I didn't think the game aesthetically looked all that pleasing. But again, Nintendo Switch 2 hardware launches June 5th. Mario Kart World's a launch title. Some games coming shortly thereafter. We did get some other dates like Super Mario Party Jamboree TV is coming July 24th. And I believe the Nintendo, or I believe like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, I think those are getting upgrades day one. So if you want to dive back into those games, that would be really cool. Or maybe you're diving into them for the first time, probably like I will be. And you can get those upgraded frame rates and resolution stuff. So that is going to be it for the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct on a first party standpoint. Please let me know down in the comments what your favorite game was on first party. And give this video a like if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully I'm doing more showcases in the future. I really do like doing showcases. Really just like enjoy the press conference of certain things and Nintendo Directs and State of Plays and Xbox Developer Directs and stuff like that. So hopefully able to do more of those in the future. But thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.